following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Thursday edition of Main Street Sports. Today on the program, our guests include Spring Hill baseball coach Paul LAMM in the Coach's Corner. You can read about him and his special young team in this week's edition of Main Street Murray. Mo with a feature article on him. Vanderbilt Athletics Director Candice Storey will be joining us around 3 o'clock today. Looking forward to that. The Braves continue their W's. I'm going to run out of room on my lower third graphic. Now 14 in a row for the Bravos. Titans minicamp discussion going on this week, and Stanley Cup Final Game 1 last night. NBA Finals Game 6 tonight. We'll talk about it all. JP Plant, one Hall of Famer Mo Patton, a second Hall of Famer, Teresa Walker, our special guest host today. Welcome in to Main Street Sports Today for this Thursday. Guys, how you doing?
Doing all right for a Thursday, JP. How's things in the Berg?
They're hot and steamy, but glad to be here. I've got the fan going above me, and the thermostat set at 75, so it doesn't break the bank.
Well, I'm sure the light and power people in Lawrence County appreciate that. They'd rather you have it at 78, I think is the word, but trust me, I'm not there either.
Yeah, I got a
Teresa,
couple fans going too.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and I'll say this. Mine is set at 74. I pushed to 75 a day ago, just because when you come in from Titans minicamp, where it's hot, and I didn't need to walk into an ice freezer. But 74, but you know what? My house, I put in new windows a couple years ago, and it's like my house is very well insulated. So my air conditioner is not running constantly to keep it at 74. So I don't feel, I recycle, I do all the wonderful things, but you're not getting me to 78. I'm sorry.
You drawing the line there, Teresa.
The line has been drawn. There it is. Not 78. Yeah. Great show here Thursday. As JP mentioned in the open, we've got Paul LAMM, longtime Spring Hill baseball coach, joining us in the next segment. We've got a kind of a Father's Day-ish article up on the website at mainstreetmurray.com in recognition of that holiday coming up this weekend. So be sure and check that out. We're going to tap into some of Teresa's expertise, as she mentioned, Titans minicamp. We get some thoughts from her later on in this first half of the show, and a subject that Teresa's probably not going to enjoy a whole lot, the streaking Braves, because they are getting ready for her streaking Cubs, only they're streaking in
No. My Cubs are skidding. You don't say streaking when you're losing. I've had that pounded into me by an AP colleague or two. It is skidding. You streak when you win, you skid when you lose.
Well, they are certainly skidding. I think they have lost their last 9 now. So the skid is on the north side. Yeah. So this weekend should be fun.
For you.
Well,
for Cub fans who are intelligent, who have been around for more than a minute, we've seen this before. So it's like, it's not, we've seen the owners of the Cubs go cheap. Rebuild is what they're calling it. I'm not so sure it's a rebuild when it's this ugly. It is what it is. So as I was saying earlier, it's like, if I'm a lifelong Cub fan, you enjoy this weekend. I'm not paying any attention to baseball this season. Just saying. Out.
I love it. Second hour, Candice Lee, Vanderbilt Athletics Director, talking about goings on over on West End, some new additions over there in terms of the sports menu that we've been trying to get a hold of her to discuss, and looking forward to finally doing so. Teresa getting some mail ready to go out. She got something to say to some folks. And we had Pete Weber on yesterday, the voice of the Nashville Predators, to kind of preview the Stanley Cup final. And JP, he told us the Avalanche were going to be entertaining.
Yes.
They were for 60 minutes plus,
yes,
as it turned out. So big
62 roughly, I think, about 2 minutes into that overtime. And what a scene there in Denver. And that's the beautiful thing about hockey. Teresa obviously can comment on this too, but that the overtime in hockey is the best in playoffs and professional sports, and just the sudden death vibe you have with that, and there's nothing better than an overtime goal in the Stanley Cup final. What a great way to start the series.
Absolutely. We'll also get into Game 6 of the NBA Finals and kind of get Teresa's input on that, as she has closely followed a Memphis Grizzlies team that was vanquished by the Western Conference champion Warriors en route to these finals. So I'm sure she's got some thoughts on that. But our top story today, the first tee, I guess, JP.
I like it.
As the U.S. Open started this morning at the Country Club. Little presumptuous name there, isn't it? The Country Club.
Yeah,
in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of that today, and I've got it on, by the way. But what I learned today, something I learned, is that this was one of the original 5 country clubs in the country to be a member of the PGA, to join that. And it is obviously one of the first country clubs in the country. It may be the first. I'm not sure, but being in Boston and the history there, so they've got a little bit of mark to call themselves the Country Club.
The Country Club?
Country Club. Okay. At least it's not in Columbus, Ohio, so that's good.
The Country Club adjacent to the Ohio State University?
Yeah, at least it's not that. So.
Rory McIlroy, say that 3 times fast, is in the clubhouse with a 3 under 67, one of 4 atop the leaderboard right now, along with Callum Tarrant, David Lingmarth, and Aaron Wise. So McIlroy, the early leader or co-leader at the Country Club for the first round of the U.S. Open. So,
did you see the moment where he had a little bit of a meltdown in a bunker? This is why I think the U.S. Open, the Masters, I think this is why the normal fan who may not be a golf fan tunes into the majors, is to see the best in the game struggle like us. When he tried to get out of that bunker and it just kind of squibbed out a little bit, and he took that club and he started just tomahawking. It's like who among us haven't been there? I haven't done that in a bunker, but I have done that. And shoot, my husband has snapped a couple of golf clubs against trees, sometimes not intentionally. And one time had a golf club run off the whole club. The club head went into the river. It beat the ball across the river, although the club head went boom. So that's what I tune into the majors for. And that's what I'll probably be watching this weekend rather than the Cubs Braves.
Well, I'm glad you'll have some alternative viewing, Teresa. I don't need to watch golfing meltdowns because it would probably remind me of myself way too much. So I'm good. We're just going to focus on 15, 16, and 17 this weekend. Those aren't holes. Those are wins.
I know what you were talking about. Trust me. I follow you on Twitter, so I see it when you're posting about the latest ad. There's a lot of Atlanta fans in the Tennessee media group, I'll just say. So from east to that line of Braves fans ends probably at Bucksnort, and that's where the Cardinal Nation seems to pick up among media people. I'm just saying.
You'll find a few Reds fans in this area as well, but yeah, right now probably not as many right now, but yeah.
Besides, there's a couple. We know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. JP.
Yes, sir.
The rundown is not very long today.
It is not, and that's okay. Are you ready for it?
Hey, I'll say this though. Did anybody see Dream On last night? The 30
I have not seen it. I intend to see it. I have not seen it, but
it is worth every minute. They ran all 3 parts last night, back to back to back. I recorded it in the wee hours. It's also on ESPN Plus, and I am somebody who talked to many of the members of that team. The 20th anniversary was 2016. So before Rio and the Olympics, I got to help Doug Feinberg put together a package. And so I talked to so many of them, about some of their memories. And Carla McGee, former Lady Vol, I knew about that car accident, but it's like Rebecca Lobo tweeted last night. She goes, "We knew she'd been in a car accident. We didn't know how bad it was." She nearly died over in Knoxville. And, in the story that she tells in that documentary about getting a call from President Clinton and thinking she was being, having a joke played on her, she told me that story back in 2016. I got to talk to Venus Lacey, so many of these women, and then to go behind the scenes, because that's what makes this so great of a documentary, is there's so much video capturing them along their tour, along the training. And, if you want to call a new nickname, if you hate a coach that's driving you nuts, Lucy. They called Tara Vanderveer Lucy, and that's short for Lucifer.
Wow. Whoa.
Every minute was just, I couldn't get up, and it was not something to DVR. If you were watching it live, you just had to sit down and just watch it. And, it was like old school. It's like, oh, there's a commercial. I better go get something to drink, because you didn't want to miss it once it came back on. And Mo, a friend of ours, Milton Kent, he had a story and a byline that was featured in the first 15 minutes of episode 1. So keep an eye out when you do watch that.
Oh, I saw his post on Facebook to that effect. Yeah, looking forward to that. Dream On, the latest ESPN 30 by 30 venture, and it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to checking it out, because I wasn't as close to a lot of those individuals as you were, but I'm quite familiar with a few of those names and folks. So again, looking forward to it.
And remember, Catch 98, which is on the Tennessee Lady Vols, and their perfect season is coming out in the next week or 2. So they're having a premiere. They're having a premiere in Knoxville, I think next week. I think 21st is the date I remember, but keep an eye out for that, because you're going to want to watch that. If you're a basketball fan, or if you're a Lady Vol fan, you're going to want to watch that.
Absolutely. With no further ado, Wednesday scores, Thursday schedule. JP, the rundown.
Let's do it.
This is the rundown.
All right, quick update on the U.S. Open. As we stand right now, there are 5 atop the lead at 3 under. Callum Tarrant, David Lingmerth, Rory McIlroy, Joel Dahmen, Andrew Novak. The first 4 already shooting 67 today. Andrew Novak is through 9 holes. Aaron Wise was at 3 under. He finished with a 68 today. Scores baseball from yesterday. The Phillies over the Marlins 3-1. D-backs over the Reds 7-4. The Braves, 14 in a row, 8-2 over the Nationals. Brewers 10-2 winners over the Mets. The Pirates bested the Cubs 6-4, and the Padres hung 19. Sorry, Teresa, on the Cubs 19-5. The final there. The Sounds get a win over on the River 8-4. It's a long show, Teresa. Hang in there. Stanley Cup final last night. Game 1 went into overtime. The Colorado Avalanche, the home team, the Western Conference champs, they defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are searching for their 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup championship. 4-3 the final there in overtime. On the schedule today, Padres and the Cubs should be underway at this point. I believe they had a 1:20 first pitch. Phillies at the Nationals tonight at 6:05, and the Brewers and the Mets at 6:10. The Braves are off, so that streak is intact for another day. And then Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight, Warriors at the Celtics. This will be, Game 6. I think I said that, maybe said 5. But Game 6 tonight on ABC. Golden State leads 3-2. This one in Boston tonight. That is your rundown on this Thursday.
Neglected to mention, JP, that 8-4 Sounds win was in 10 innings last night over at AutoZone Park in Memphis. The Padres are up 3-2 on the Cubs in the bottom of the second. No shock for Teresa there. And JP, you may have noticed as you were reading through the rundown today, I am anonymous blobfish.
Yes, there you go. I hadn't looked. Anonymous. Yes. Now you've got anonymous mink.
Anonymous mink?
Mink.
So yesterday it was chinchilla. Today it's mink.
Chinchilla. It's anonymous mink.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting
nice,
stuff.
Long neck.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good look. Sturdy.
So when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint, we will be going to Coach's Corner, and in Coach's Corner we will have Spring Hill baseball coach Paul Lamb. So stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back, Main Street Sports Today on this Thursday edition. Coming up at around 3 o'clock today, we'll be joined by Vanderbilt AD Candace Story Lee. Looking forward to that. Also, our daily Braves conversation still to come and plenty to get to. But we've got Mo Patton, of course, and Miss Teresa Walker in today as our special guest host. Some would call this maybe a Hall of Fame sandwich. And there you go. But we do go preps to pros, Mo, and very proud of that. Cover a lot of things, and that includes our next segment. I'll let you introduce our guest.
It does. Visiting with us here on Main Street Sports Today on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe over in Chapel Hill, our friend Renee Hart and her folks, keeping you well fed. And I've managed to be well fed without getting over there. But JP, we have been remiss in making that trip across.
It's been too long.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to remedy that real soon. Maybe we'll even take our next guest with us.
There you go. Yeah.
Paul Lamb, Spring Hill baseball coach, and more recently, coach of the 8U Coach Pitch Mules. And he's got the battle wounds to show for it.
All over.
He is the coach pitcher for the Mules. How does one get nominated for that? Is that like catching used to be the last person that didn't step back, or how does that work?
The other, first off, thank y'all for having me on. The other dads that help me, assist me on the team, they will all tell you that none of them want to, nor really can throw good enough BP to give us a chance. We let some of them try out, and we kindly said, okay, you go to first, you go to third, you guys do a great job. But, that's where it comes in. I mean, I throw literally every single day of my life. So it was just natural that that was going to be the position. And it wasn't that bad when they were 7, but now that they're 8, getting a little bit older, a little bit stronger, now it's becoming a little bit more of a issue getting out of the way, so to speak.
Exit velo.
It's climbing every day.
Have you considered an L screen, Coach?
Yeah, we've got enough land here in our backyard that we just put in a cage, and now we're working on putting in an entire infield. And I've brought home one of our old L screens and fixed it up that we don't use at our facility anymore, and it's already helped save my life more times than not.
It sounds like you've taught Lake a little too well.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying. We talk about going back up the middle a lot, and he sure listens well. So
you gotta love that. Paul, I appreciate you allowing us to do the article that is on the website right now, mainstreetmurray.com, on your youth league coaching adventure, I guess. Yeah. And JP and I were fortunate enough to get to come out to a recent practice, and I was just amazed at the way you present things to those 8-year-olds is very similar to the way you present things to your 18-year-olds at Spring Hill High School. And I think a lot of folks would think that the kids at that age can't take it in. Clearly, that's not the case with your guys.
Yeah, and I think it's all about, the guys in the field, and just like at the high school level, at the college level, at the pro level, you got to read each and every team. But, I mean, we're fortunate to have a good little group of athletes that want to be out there, that want to play. And I could tell after the first time I was with them that they could take me not only being loud and, some would say hard, but I mean, coaching them literally the same way that I do the high school team. And I think it's helped them in their development. Not just doing the whole, just being really soft and everything with them. Just, as many of you would probably attest, the old Little League coach with jean shorts and a Marlboro hanging out of his mouth pointing towards home back in '83, those guys were tough, and now maybe you take away the Marlboro, you take away the jean shorts. And I think way too many coaches don't want to be hard on these kids because society is telling us not to. And then you're not necessarily always being hard when you're just demanding that they respect you, respect the game, and respect each other. And, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, and I think in that situation, Paul, one of the most important factors is your parents apparently don't see anything wrong with it either. That they're allowing their kids to be coached. And I think that's vital in that realm, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. And we were very upfront. And I told all of them at the beginning, I'm like, look, this is not only something that I'm doing in a volunteer capacity, this is something that I do as a career. So, my way of doing things may not be like anything that you've seen 3 years prior if they started playing at 4 or 5. And, we've got such a epidemic going on of youth sports is just out of control right now. It really is. Some would say, well, you're saying it's out of control, but you're also contributing to the monster that is out of control. And I could see that side of it as well. But I think with me being in the career choice that I am, that I can try to at least make sure that I'm doing my part to keep those kids safe and to keep them enjoying the game.
I just felt like, oh, go ahead, Teresa. I'm sorry.
Well, as a parent, Paul, one of the things that has kind of struck out at me is that most kids want to have boundaries. They want to know exactly what the expectations are and what you're asking of them to do. How are you finding that as in your position as a coach?
And I think that's one thing that they have been so, they've been so happy with. I had one parent come up and tell me that, simple manners at home have improved so much. I'm a big yes sir, no sir guy. It never fails that when we have new players coming to the high school team, they get to say yeah once. And I'm usually okay with it the first time. I will repeat yes sir until they say yes sir, but they don't know. And now these kids at 8 years old, when they go out to a restaurant and maybe that waitress sits down, their drink and their water or whatever, and they say thank you and yes ma'am and please and all that. I mean, that means so much more than turning a double play at 8U or hitting the ball in the gap at 8U. I mean, that's, it's cliche and all that, but we're trying to teach them so much more. And the boundaries that they are giving, hopefully they can take that with them to 5th grade, take it with them to high school, take it with them to their freshman year of college, their first job. And it's not cliche to us. That is why we do what we do.
Paul Lamb, our guest here, Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe. And Paul, one thing I noticed at practice was the pace of practice with these young guys, and as Mo talked about with you earlier about the way that you coach them. Any difference in pace and that type of way you hold practice from the high school kids?
No, honestly, no. And once I made the decision to do that, I've never backed off with it. If I tell my high school guys and I tell our young guys that if I don't bring the energy, how can I expect you to? If I don't go home from practice, whether it be the high school practice or the youth practice, literally, how can I expect them to give me everything that they have? I mean, I'm physically exhausted at the end of every single practice. I really am. And I don't feel like if I've not given them everything I've gotten, then I shouldn't not feel that way. So, it's full tilt, it's high energy, it's nonstop, because baseball is boring, very boring to a lot of people. So, when they're not just having to stand around and they're constantly moving, to me, it makes them want to play the next year. And that is our ultimate goal, is to continue to want them to play.
I've coached some summer league ball, not nearly to this level, but that's always been my thing. If they got better and they want to play the next year, you've pretty well done your job. And I'm sure that all of the 8U Mules will be playing next year as well. Paul Lamb, coach of the Spring Hill baseball program. State championship coach Paul Lamb, by the way. So again, I really hope those parents and those kids appreciate the resource that they had at their disposal as far as that goes. And we certainly appreciate having you on with us here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe. Thanks for your time, Paul.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty. Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, we're going to tap into Teresa Walker's Tennessee Titans minicamp knowledge. So stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. JP, alongside the Hall of Famer resident Mo Patton, and our special guest host, also a Hall of, and she's got a sweater to prove it behind her.
There we go.
Walker joining us. You can see it clearly there. And Teresa, when you walked away earlier, Mo actually had a comment about that.
What was it, Mo?
Oh no, I was just saying you can't hide it, man. She's a show off. She knows it. I mean, I don't blame her. If I had one, I'd show it off too. I don't.
Sorry, Mo. I figured content was key in this, so I had to throw you under the bus there.
Oh, it's okay. It's not the first time. I'm used to it.
The fun thing about this is, the Predators, when I was voted in and it was announced, they put it up on their scoreboard. Now the team, it was a point of the year where the team was on the road, but they tweeted it out, put it on the scoreboard, tweeted it out. And then they sent me this. And just for journalism ethics issues, I did double check with my editor, and I made a donation to the Predators Foundation for the price of the jersey, personalized and a little bit more, just to be safe and, protected. So, and yeah, when I got back from Japan, I took it to go get it framed. Guys, I didn't get it back until like February after I got back from LA at the Super Bowl, because it took them, between supply chain issues for the framing anyway, I finally got it up, and I'm showing off.
Were you checking with them to make sure that it hadn't been mislocated?
Yes. You darn right I was. It's like, and it's, I'd check every few weeks. I'd call, it's like, what's up? And they're like, yeah, we still don't have it. And then it became, well, our framer would quit, and we're training a new framer.
Blame the framer.
And, I was supposed to have gotten a little bit of a coupon I was supposed to get a coupon for the delay, but I never got that. I'm just glad I finally got it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Teresa Walker with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Teresa, you mentioned in the top of the show about it being, as Buster Poindexter would say, hot out at Titans mini camp. But besides that, what have this first few days been like? We had John Glennon on a couple of days ago following his article on Traylon Burks and his medical situation, I guess. Are things improving with him from what you've seen? What's going on out there?
Well, let's put it this way. He was unavailable at the 2 days of minicamp, okay? So what that entails, sorry, my light is there in the background, so we'll go this way. He's, every time I go, I just need to stick my big head right.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Sorry. Okay. He's not available. But he, at least last week, the assistants talked to us, and Rob Moore admitted he's got asthma. So I don't know why this was so tough for them to admit. Lots of people have asthma, and, he was seen with an inhaler at the rookie minicamp. But, Rob Moore told us yesterday that he expects him to be ready for training camp. Now, what that means, we're going to have to wait and see, because we thought he'd be ready for the OTAs. So, but right now he's learning. We keep being told he's doing everything he can do without being on the field. Now, here's the good thing. He was drafted. It's like, okay, this is the guy that's going to have to replace A.J. Brown. The good thing is Robert Woods, a guy who tore his left ACL on November 12th, was out there at every OTA that was open to the media. He was there for both days of the minicamp, and he was not just doing individual stuff. He was doing passing drill stuff with a yellow non-contact jersey. But the fact that he's doing that at this stage of his, recovery and rehab is amazing. Now, he wouldn't put a timeline on his return, but at this moment, guys, I have him as the number one receiver for this offense. Traylon Burks is number 2 with a question mark, because we got to see it. I mean, that one video snippet that the Titans tweeted out, the first week of the OTAs, it was the ones that were closed to us, of him catching a long ball and Tannehill for a touchdown. That was nice. That was 4 weeks ago, and we haven't seen a whole lot of him since then. So, lots of questions, lots of mystery, but at least we know that the asthma thing has been answered. But what's keeping him unavailable, we don't know. Kind of like with Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons was among the veterans who were back for the mandatory minicamp, yet he wasn't on the field. He's in the building. He talked to us. I mean, if a guy's injured, and Terrell Williams, the defensive line coach, told us yesterday he's healthy, and he talked to us. Usually an injured guy doesn't talk to us, right? Jeffrey Simmons made it very clear that he's got a team. His uncle is Jason Hatcher, who played 10 years in the NFL, and that's on his team, helping advise him. He's without an agent at the moment, according to the NFL Players Association website. Jeffrey said that, if he's signing with somebody, that might be coming out soon. So he's got 2 years left on his contract. The Titans picked up his 5th-year option. It's fully guaranteed for next year, $10.7 million, which will all count against the cap next year for the Titans. So there is reason to think that maybe by the time we get to training camp, there might be a contract extension announced for Jeffrey Simmons, based on all the signs that are pointing that direction right now. Jeffrey Simmons said if there's contract talks, and he's planning on being here at camp. So, that counts as drama, though, for this team, right? They're coming off a 12-6 season and number 1 seed in the AFC. Derrick Henry, guys, by the way, foot's good. Foot's real good. And the big thing about him, it's like, okay, if the foot's good, well, the hair's down. He literally let his hair down from the ponytail and had had his braids kind of swinging out there. He was. Wow. So, I always feel for the guys who have the long hair and worry about somebody coming along and just yanking it and grabbing it, because it is part of the uniform. You can tackle a guy by grabbing his hair. I just don't know if you'd want to do it to Derrick Henry. So the key is this. The Titans will report on July 26th for the start of training camp. God, it's like, God, that's a Tuesday. It's like, that's early. I'm used to Thursday, Friday. This Tuesday is going to really upset my NFL season body clock there. But, they're going to be ramping things up. The NFL and the NFLPA worked out. I think they've extended the ramp up period before they finally get into pads. And I think the hope is to help with soft tissue injuries. And if there's any team that would like to stay healthier this year, it's going to be the Tennessee Titans. They had 21 guys go on IR last year. And by my count, there was 15 who they brought back. The NFL made a change this year. There's no longer unlimited return from injured reserve. You're going to have to be a little choosier with who you designate to return. You're limited to 8 for a season. So, if that had been the Titans last year, Derrick Henry in the playoff game. So, or you would have had to be really, Titans would not have won 12 games last year without the unlimited return rule. It's just that simple.
Teresa, we talked about Traylon Burks and his impact on the passing game. Another guy, though, with some local ties, Josh Malone, apparently is showing up or was showing up during minicamp. This is a guy who's been around. He played at Station Camp. He played at UT. He was at Cincinnati. This guy got a shot?
Right now, I have him as my fourth receiver on this group, guys. Woods, Burks, Nick Westbrook-Akina, because, for an undrafted kid out of Indiana, all he does is be where he needs to be and make catches. And Josh Malone has made some nice catches as well during this offseason program. In fact, yesterday, Rob Moore said he was ecstatic with what he's seen from Josh Malone, a very underrated, under-the-radar kind of signing when that came through early in the offseason. But, he's like, if he can continue this when the pads go on, it sounds like he's on his way to earning a roster spot with this team. So it's funny that, he coming out of college, there were a couple of guys locally that I thought would be really nice to have on the Titans roster. Josh Malone was one, and the other, Zach Cunningham. And now they've got both of them on their roster, which is really kind of fun to watch because it's so unique. And that's the fun part about this whole situation is you just never know what you're going to get from somebody. And Josh Malone, he's 6'3", okay, 203 pounds, I think they're listing him at. And so he can go up and get something out of the air. And then we've seen the physical violence that Zach Cunningham brings to the table. Zach has been one of the veterans who was training on his own this offseason, but he was there the last couple of days for minicamp. And, it's going to be fun to watch both of these local guys, local college products anyway, kind of come through. And, you mentioned Malone. He started at Cincinnati. He had a couple seasons with the Jets, played 4 games last year with them. And it's like, not really sure what didn't click, but this is a guy who has, one career touchdown pass. And it just seems like, that's the thing. Sometimes fit and being in the right spot with the right offense, the right quarterback can mean so much. And, no offense, but he was at Cincinnati pre-Joe Burrow, and he was in New York. Well, I mean, come on, look at the Jets. We know what they've done the last few years.
Teresa Walker is joining us for the entire show today, by the way, not just a feature here, but we had to talk Titans, of course, while we have her today. Teresa, I'm curious, the feeling of this Titans team with the disappointment of last year, obviously the whole draft thing and Brown gone. It still, to me, all of that seems to have kind of washed away, and it feels reset. And to me, now granted, I haven't been paying that close attention, but it feels like they're kind of reset. Derrick Henry, you talked about, is healthy, and things just they kind of seem okay. Am I off on feeling this way?
No, JP, and this is the fun thing. You look at some of these power rankings in the offseason, and there's been a couple that have had the Titans down at 16.
Yeah.
I have seen a couple people put them up at 11. This team, this will be my 26th season covering this franchise. This is how it is every year. This team has to go out and prove it on the field. And, people writing off the defense, well, Harold Landry's not going to match what he did last year. That was his best year. He's going to fall off the map. He now has a healthy Bud Dupree on the other side from him. Bud Dupree told us Tuesday, he was asked, when did you feel healthy with the knee? He tore his ACL December 2020, right? Yeah. And he was on the field at the start of the season and later told us that pride got in the way. He was trying to show that he could be ready for his new team. When did the knee finally feel good? The playoff game in January. So he now is finally truly healthy and a bit motivated because everybody looked at him and it's like, well, he didn't help TJ Watt. That was TJ Watt all on his own. Well, TJ Watt, Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Harold Landry up front. And they like the mix. They're young at cornerback, but they like what they've got. And guys, Roger McCreary, I think we're going to find out very early this season why they drafted him in the second round out of Auburn. And by the way, Derek Mason stopped by an OTA a couple weeks ago to, kind of watch things over there. And a guy he coached at Auburn last year and got to say hi to him. But this is a defense that I think is going to have a chance to be better. They're not, Kevin Byard said early this offseason they want to be the best defense. And they've kind of backed off that a little bit because, but they make it very clear they want to be better than last year. There is room for improvement there. The offense, massive room for improvement. They finished 5th in rushing. And I think, 20th or so in points. I'm trying to think back. They were 4th in points scored in 2020 when everything was going well with a healthy Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry doesn't have to run for 2,000 yards again, but I think people are forgetting he led the NFL in rushing when he broke the foot. Yep. You want to know, guess where he finished the season while not playing in any of the final 9 games of the year?
Top 10, didn't he?
Yes, he was 9th.
There you go.
With 937 rushing yards. So it's like they don't need him to lead the NFL in rushing. He just has to be, Derrick Henry. And I'll say this, my theory is that they have better targets for Ryan Tannehill to throw to. Chigaquanquo, the kid, top 40 time for tight ends at the combine. Austin Hooper, he's a guy who's, become quickly working on chemistry with Ryan Tannehill. And then you add Robert Woods, all these other guys. Treylon Burks is going to have to, he's going to be measured against A.J. Brown, the entire season. But, Ryan Tannehill, he's a little bit more vocal out there. He's one of the things I think about, he talked very openly about how driven he was on the, how bad that playoff loss hit him. Well, I don't think he's leaving stones unturned. I think he's telling guys exactly what he wants, and he's making sure that everybody knows what is expected. And I'm curious. I do think this team's going to win the AFC South again this year. And then, of course, like Mike Vrabel was asked yesterday, what do you expect from, to this year out of this team? And he's like, get in the playoffs and then win. And that's the standard that they have set for this franchise right now.
Mo, it sounds like somewhat addition by subtraction. One thing I kind of took out of that, although the math may be a little fuzzy, but you think you lose something, but it may end up being better. But two, it's interesting. Ryan Tannehill. So you can see a change, a difference, Teresa, in what you've seen in how he's going about, I guess, being a leader following last year. Is that what I'm hearing?
A little bit. Now, this is a guy who has been a leader. He's talked to guys on the field and things like that. But, being a bit more vocal, you can notice that. And, I mean, he's also a little loose out there. I mean, I saw a great snippet of video from Emily Proud of WKRN Channel 2. And, she's like, is he teaching him a TikTok video? He was talking with some receivers and stuff. And it's like, he's moving around. But, he's been here. He took a lot of rap for not being at the first couple of weeks of the offseason program. And, but he also worked out on his own this offseason with Des Fitzpatrick down in Florida, a kid who's trying to make this roster, so it's like people don't always see everything that goes into, into the hard work that's going on. But, Ryan Tannehill knows, and Ryan Tannehill is a competitor who wants to win. I just think he's more driven than ever.
Teresa, I got to ask you before we get away from this, do you feel like some of that is intentional from the heat that he took for not being here early on and for the I don't need to be a mentor little dust up? No. I mean, he's addressed it. He's, I don't think I think that was everything outside. And I think he had easy time tuning that out. I think he wants to win. He knows he's lost the last 3 playoff games that he started. He wants to win in the postseason. I mean, if you're a competitor, if you're an athlete, and he is, that's what you want. And that's what they're playing for.
Yeah, I like that, Mo.
Got to. As we continue here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, it's that time. 14. And the only thing stopping them from extending the streak tonight is there is no game for the Atlanta Braves. So we're going to talk about how we got here and what's next when we come back. Stay with us.
The city famous for its music is quiet now, but it's about to be overwhelmed by the symphony of speed. Nashville Superspeedway will be rocking from the pit to the grandstand. June 24th through 26th, the Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race weekend brings a mix of incredible racing and live entertainment. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com today and join the full throttle fun.
Time now for the second half of Main Street Sports today on this Thursday edition. And we'll be joined coming up in about 10 minutes from now from Vanderbilt Athletic Director, Miss Candice Story Lee. We'll talk a little Commodores. Notice the logo there. I got the right logo. Well, I just changed it off, but I did get the V. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, Teresa Walker. We'll also talk a little NBA Finals, Game 6 tonight. The Stanley Cup Final from last night, Game 1. Avs up 1-0 there. And this little baseball segment with a series coming up this weekend, an interesting series. The Braves and the Cubs. 14 in a row. Mo, did you ever dream you would see this again? Because this ties the second best, if I heard you correctly yesterday. Is that accurate?
It does tie their second best as the Atlanta Braves, and it's just nice to see them string a few games together. I wasn't necessarily looking for 14, but to just win a few games in a row was kind of what this team needed as we've talked over the length of this streak. They were win 1, lose 2. I don't think they ever lost more than 2 in a row or won more than 2 in a row until they got on this run that they're on now. So, it's just been nice to see everything come together over this 2-week period now. And, it's funny. Chris Yao, our co-host, who I guess is still on the beach, JP, is that right?
We hope so. We hope so. As hot as it is, I hope he's close to water. Because otherwise, the alternative is Lower Alabama. If you think it's hot here, oh boy.
Good point. His favorite talk show, what is it? It's not the Round Table. What is it with Jim Dunaway and that bunch? There's a show out of Alabama, but I can't remember.
Birmingham.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it off the top, but they had Buster Olney on from ESPN, former Nashville Banner writer Buster Olney, a couple of weeks ago, and he also declared the NL East race over when he was on with them, I think on June 2nd, and they've not lost since, and they had him back on today. And to his credit, he ate his crow quite well. Said that his son is a Braves fan, and he's been sticking it to him every night, just texting him with the number, 10, 11, 12.
Kind of like a graphic.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of like the graphic. Yes. If you are fortunate or unfortunate enough to be watching us, you can see that JP has extended it all the way out there to 14.
It's
the
like
slackers
only
hit
strikeouts in a game, Mo. That's kind of the vibe I'm thinking with this graphic. People that sit like in the front row of the upper deck and they hang those Ks, as they get strikeouts. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting with this with this graphic.
I like it. You're doing a heck of a job with that.
That's very nice. I did have a flashback to when Kerry Wood used to, mow him down, and they'd hang the number. Yeah, sorry, Mo. I mean, I do have some good memories as a Cubs fan. So,
No, you've got plenty of memories as a Cubs fan. I'm sure you were at one of those World Series games. I remember that.
I was at all three 2016 World Series game. Yes. Only got to enjoy the final one as a victory, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Keep talking. Intern 2 is going to come and take the mic from you.
Oh, yeah, he's talking to his girlfriend at the moment. So, or actually, no, I'm sorry, the laptop's missing. He's got a paper due Saturday to finish up a class. So, here's the fun thing: you can't declare a team a winner before the end of June. I'm sorry, not in baseball. I mean, it's like, maybe when you go into July, you can kind of say a division's over. But, I mean, didn't Houston go on an incredible tear? I mean, the Cardinals. I mean, there are just so many teams that have gotten hot. Into August even. If you can finish August and September hot and string together this kind of winning streak, you can put yourself right back in the mix. I mean, so yeah, Buster, he's a great guy. I got to meet him at a college sports thing that was put on by Vanderbilt a few years ago. And he's a nice guy. But yeah, sometimes when we're talking, we sometimes maybe forget what the calendar date really is. So yeah.
I think he just kind of got caught up in the Mets Kool-Aid a little bit there. But to be fair, the Mets were up 10.5 at the time he made the statement. Of course, they're now up 4.
Ding, ding, ding. Don't rule out a baseball pennant race or division race until you get at least the end of July.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd caution against it until September. Because I remember 1969.
Hopefully Buster has learned his lesson there. But the Braves only hit 3 home runs last night after hitting 5 each of their first 2 games against the that team in Washington, the Nats, as I like to refer to them. So they're getting it done on the mound. Spencer Strider with 5 2/3 last night. Another great start for him. And I think they have now hit 38 home runs over the course of this streak. So they are definitely rolling into Wrigley Field for 3 starting tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Cubs have lost 9 straight, as we mentioned in the rundown. 19-5 loss yesterday to San Diego, and kind of headed in that direction again today. So Charlie Morton will be on the bump for the Braves tomorrow and looking for 15. Should be fun.
I'll just say this. This is going to be a great weekend. If you want souvenirs out on Waveland or Sheffield, okay, just be ready to get your glove out there and try to catch a few balls. I'm just saying.
This day in Braves history, before we get out of here, on June 16th, 2011, Chipper Jones matched a career high with 5 RBIs, and Brooks Conrad hit a 9th-inning 2-run home run off closer Francisco Rodriguez to force extra innings. But it took a walk-off balk for the Braves to edge the visiting Mets 9-8. With 2 out and 2 on, DJ Carrasco balked to score Diori Hernandez from third with the game winner. The ever-exciting walk-off balk for the Braves there in that win. So there you go. This day in Braves history, sponsored by Your Business Here. When we come back on Main Street Sports Today, we will be joined by Vanderbilt Athletics Director, Vanderbilt alumnus, former Commodore women's basketball standout, CANDICE Story Lee. So stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731. 888-5731 and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
The city famous for its music is quiet now, but it's about to be overwhelmed by the symphony of speed. Nashville Superspeedway will be rocking from the pit to the grandstand. June 24th through 26th, the Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race weekend brings a mix of incredible racing and live entertainment. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com today and join the full throttle fun.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. JP alongside the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Hall of Famer Teresa Walker. Two-time in the Hall of Famer today, so we are glad to be with you. Coming up, we'll talk a little NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Final from last night as well. But Mo, we are excited to have this next guest. It's a shame she's not on video to see the backdrop of what's hanging in my home office here. I think she would be very proud of that. But I know you've been excited to bring on our next guest, and I'll let you introduce her.
I really have, especially with the news that broke a few weeks ago as Vanderbilt gets set to bring back volleyball as a women's sports offering. Really pleased to bring on Vanderbilt Athletics Director Candice Lee. Formerly Candice Story, as I knew her when she was playing basketball for the Commodores. Candice, welcome to Main Street Sports Today. Really happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. Can we first just talk about the backdrop that I can't see? Please, somebody do tell.
Sure. All right. So Miss Candice, I'm a lifelong Vanderbilt fan. My parents went to Belmont. They actually marched in the Vanderbilt marching band. So I've grown up, going to games, and I've just got some Vanderbilt paraphernalia, I should say, hanging in my home office. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. That's nice.
I have that every day, Candice. I didn't do this just for your appearance today, so
no,
I do
every day.
Sincere.
You seem sincere. I know you've had it the whole time. I know.
Mo can attest.
Candice, that's our ace producer, JP Plant, and we're going to ignore him now. But the announcement back in April that you all would be bringing volleyball back, I know that was something you were really proud to be a part of. And I know that out in the community, because I covered a lot of high school softball this spring, and over the next few weeks afterwards, there was a real why volleyball? Why not softball? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, have you been to their campus recently? Was softball ever a consideration? Is softball ever a consideration for Vanderbilt when you look at the fact that the Southeastern Conference sent 12 of its 13 softball teams to the NCAA tournament a few weeks ago, excuse me?
So I'm always looking at, so the answer is that there are a lot of sports that are on the table, because I think it's my responsibility and our responsibility to track trends. And it's easy to see that volleyball and softball, for example, are two really popular sports. It's also my responsibility to figure out what is doable, what can be executed in X time frame. And so I know you were playing, but you're absolutely right when you think about our campus. I mean, I enjoy watching softball, so I know very much that the SEC is strong in it, and I think it's a great sport. It is not feasible at this time for me to add softball in our current footprint. And what I'm trying to do first and foremost is maximize what we can do in our current footprint. I'm always thinking about what's next. What I don't want to do is get sidetracked and not take care of what we can do right in front of us, like what we can do now. So with the great momentum around Vandy United, which we know is going to start with the basketball practice facility, that then frees up a lot of space to be able to add volleyball and do so at a championship level. I also think, as I've studied softball, right, and you look and you say, well, where could you put a softball field? And everybody talks about, adjacent land or land somewhere in the city. I will tell you that I just met with a recruit earlier in my office, and at this point I'm meeting with recruits just about every day. And I say to each of them that part of the magic of this place is the strong sense of community and the fact that all of our sports operate in the same space, same area. So, but for the golf course, which, is not on campus, all of our facilities are adjacent to one another. And even the golfers, they're out at Legends, but they spend a lot of time in Magoogan, which is right in the middle of our athletics footprint. And so keeping everyone together is a priority. So I will never say what won't happen in the future, because I'm going to push us to be as creative and innovative as possible. But softball is just not feasible at this time. And volleyball, though, it makes so much sense given the popularity in this area. And I also want to make sure that in short order, we can provide a championship caliber experience for all of our sports. And so volleyball just falls in line with that.
Volleyball was at Vanderbilt in the mid to late 70s, discontinued after the 79-80 season, is expected back for the 2025 season. And, while you don't have space for a softball facility, you do have a gym.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It makes it pretty easy, I would think, to make that decision when you look at everything that you had to work with. So you guys are now, where are you in terms of the coaching search? I know when it was announced, it was expected that you all would announce a hiring this fall. Is that still the timetable that y'all are working on as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think I said that by the end of the year, I thought we would hire some. So that's still the same general time frame. Maybe end of the calendar year or early in the spring. And, that's the other thing, is getting a head coach in place and then giving him or her time to get to know Vanderbilt, understand the recruiting landscape, be able to build their staff. Also to help with the architects as they think about what modifications need to be made in Memorial for volleyball. Want the head coach to be able to have input there as we create what they think is the necessary facility. So we're facility needs. So I think that we're probably, if I had to guess, we're probably 5 or 6 months away from truly launching that search.
Okay.
End of the year.
Candice Lee, Vanderbilt Athletics Director, our guest here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Obviously, Candice, we're into the summer now, and that means we are right around the corner from football. You went through a coaching search about 18 months or so ago now, I guess, that brought Clark Lee back to campus. What have you seen? What do you see as far as football in Clark Lee?
So I'm so happy that you brought that up, because I was meeting with a recruit in another sport earlier today, and some of our freshman football players turned the corner. We were walking out, and I was standing in the hall, and I thought about what I said to my husband last night, because I told him that I like how these kids look. They physically look different. They're also great kids. They make eye contact. They have great questions. They're so excited to be here. I have to tell you that I met with all of our freshmen who are here this summer, and it's several sports represented, including football and both basketball. And one football player, we were talking about why they chose Vanderbilt. And most of them I had met at one time or another on their official visits. And these kids over and over kept talking about the opportunity to win at the highest level. And I love that already these kids are thinking that, for me, anecdotally, that was, I can attribute that to the culture that Clark continues to build, the environment that he continues to build in this program. So these kids are operating with a lot of confidence. They're working very hard. By no means have we arrived. We're not there yet. We're not there yet, and we're really clear on that. But what I appreciate is that the path is very clear. The vision is very clear. My job is to make sure that Clark and team have the resources to enact the vision. And I think it's going great. I really do. I like the energy. I like the poise. I like the enthusiasm. Clark was in my office earlier today, and his wheels are turning, and he's really excited for, team 2, year 2. So I think we're in a very good spot, and we have a lot of work to do. And every day we remind each other that we're not going to skip steps. If we're going to build this thing the right way, there's a clear path to get there.
Well, and Candice, I'm going to chime in here. One thing that's kind of crucial in building a program like what Clark is doing there at Vanderbilt is having continuity. He didn't, there was a little bit of change on the coaching staff, but largely this whole group is staying intact going into year 2. How key is that in helping build this? As let's face it, he's, it's very obvious that he needed to rebuild a bit. And this isn't going to happen overnight, but keeping that staff together, how much does that help that whole process?
Yeah, I think that's really important. And, I think the biggest thing is that I want to make sure that our sports, right, we're talking about Clark right now, but all of our sports, I want to make sure that they have the resources needed to recruit and retain the staff that they need to win at the highest level. And so, of course, getting them here is really important. And then retaining them is arguably even more important. And I don't ever want our coaches to say, I was not able to have the stability because I didn't have the resources I needed to keep them. And I don't think Coach feels that way. I think he was, you're always going to have some level of attrition. People leave for personal reasons. Sometimes opportunities just make more sense. But by and large, he was able to keep the staff intact. And I agree with you. I think that's an important ingredient to success.
And Candice, I know that Vandy fans are just they're hesitant, they're skeptical about when the shovels start turning dirt over there. I know that there was a sewer line that kind of slowed things down. What can people expect to start, when they drive by Vanderbilt and they're trying to figure out, is something going on? When can they start seeing some things starting to happen with the renovations and the upgrades that you all have planned?
Yeah, I know that, since I'm in it every day, I know that I get the benefit of knowing that construction has already started. It's just that you won't see the public won't be able to tell until later this fall. And that's just the truth. I agree with you wholeheartedly that some people are skeptical. I can't do anything about historical narratives. All I can do is follow up on what I said. And I've tried to do that for 2 straight years, and I'll do that as long as I'm in this seat. So I would say that if you looked at my calendar, you would know that construction is underway. But soon to come, people will actually be able to tell it from the fans' eyes. So later this year, that will be much more evident.
And for people who come for football, they might be looking around, but that's going to have to wait until the football season ends, right? For anything to really start, the big stuff happening just outside the stadium, right in that corner between Memorial and the stadium.
Yeah, it'll be much more noticeable. You're right, when the season ends, because we still have to make sure. So there are some things happening under the field right now. And then we've got to get the field put back together so that we can play football, right? And there will be things that are happening behind the scenes. But you're right, we have to still be able to play the games. As soon as football season ends, it will be much more noticeable because, like you said, we don't have to worry about trying to accommodate a game every Saturday. So, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's kind of this dance of you're trying to make sure that you minimize the disruption, but we can't wait to do all of these things. Like construction, you don't just flip a switch and construction starts, right? Construction has already started. It's just that we have to build the timing around so that when we play that first home game, like we're ready to do so without disrupting the fans or the team. So you're right, but I just want to reiterate that the things that we can do now, we're doing.
I got the chance to talk with you, Candice, last week for our Title IX package. And FYI, story that has video from that and everything will be moving for AP on Saturday morning, bright and early. And the Vandy bowling team is going to be featured in a story on international players taking advantage of Title IX. That's moving on Friday. So Vandy's in the AP package a lot. But for you, how does Vanderbilt kind of celebrate Title IX, or is it just kind of tough because that 37 word law came down and it's June? Is there much that you all can do to help celebrate this, or is by the fact that you're a woman AD in the SEC, the first Black female AD in the SEC, enough maybe to help celebrate?
Yeah, I would say that. And I think, Teresa, we talked about this, I think, a little bit, and it's complicated, right? Because there is the legal requirement that is Title IX that, the 50th anniversary is next week, and that is important to acknowledge that. But I want us to celebrate it every day by showing that gender equity and a commitment to equality is infused in our DNA. That is the way that I think that we maximize our impact and truly live up to what is expected. So I would never sit here and say, well, we've got it all figured out. We have a female AD, or what I hope is that, if anything, I think the pressure is on us more because we have a female AD. And we need to make sure that, we're constantly living it out. And that's sort of the standard I try to hold myself to. And I just have mixed feelings because in some ways in all ways, I'm grateful. And I want to acknowledge the progress that has been made over 50 years. But gosh, I just want to be really careful because we have to be sophisticated enough to celebrate, but realize that we still have so much work to do.
Man, Candice, listening to you, I wish we could have gotten you on sooner. I hope we can get you on again because I just really enjoy your insight, and I've been fortunate enough to enjoy it for quite a while, actually. But
that's very nice. I appreciate you. I do just want to say that, like, when I think about my time here and coming here as a 17-year-old, you're one of the first faces that I remember. And you're one of the first people that I really got to know from like a media perspective, from an external perspective. And you're always very kind to my teammates and I, you may not know that how much of a difference that makes, especially when you're a young girl, you're trying to find your way, and to be treated with respect, it makes a difference. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You're far too kind. Gotta ask you, over the last few years, looking at the sports landscape at Vanderbilt, baseball has been the one thing that Vanderbilt supporters have been able to hang their hat on. This year didn't necessarily go the way Vanderbilt baseball fans would have anticipated or hoped for. From where you were sitting, what did you see and what do you see going forward?
Oh yeah, this is easy. We have the best baseball program in the country, and there is when I think about being a student athlete here, I can assure you that there was no outcry in the way that I saw this year about the performance of our team because there were no expectations. We're the best program in the country, right? And I think that when we think, Commodore Nation, I think is thrilled that we can boast and be the envy of all programs. We have the best coach in the country. We have a template that shows what can happen when you get the right leader, you give resources, you give runway. I mean, we know what can happen, and that's because of Vanderbilt baseball. So what I saw is the best coach in the country, and I'm excited. That's it. That's it. He's awesome. He's awesome, and those kids are awesome. And I don't know. I mean, I could facetiously say it's first world problems when people are upset that you are not in Omaha every year. I think that we can look around and we can see people should not take for granted. Like, it's hard to get to Omaha, and we continue to go. I understand that we weren't there this year. I mean, there ain't a person here that wants to win more than me. And we have won year in and year out with Tim Corbin and with the Vandy boys. And so we didn't make it out to Super Regional this year. I'm glad people have high expectations of us. We have them of ourselves. And so we are disappointed, but it is nothing more than that.
That's the advantage Candice, that's the advantage when you have high expectations, right? If you're not competing in Omaha for a title, that's a down year. So that seems to be a pretty good standard to have been set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's true, right? Because that's just competitiveness. But I would never want that to turn into entitlement, right? These kids work hard. These coaches work hard. You can look at schools that were in Omaha one year and then didn't make it out to the conference tournament the following year. It happens. It happens all the time. And I mean, I'm not at all. I respectfully, I'm not trying to make fun of another school. I'm not. I mean, this is the SEC, the very best of the best in every sport. The only reason I bring that up is to say it is really hard to do what we have done year in and year out, and that should never, ever, ever be forgotten. And we should never take for granted. I think I would hope that people agree with me. I'm talking about the best coach in the sport of baseball. He works at Vanderbilt. So that's tremendous. But I kind of think we all just need to remember that. So how did I feel? I feel great. I can't wait for baseball season. I can't wait for football season. I can't wait for basketball season. I can't wait. I need a break. I need a small vacation. And then I'll be
Me too.
to get it again. Yeah.
Candice Story Lee, the Vanderbilt Athletics Director, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Candice, it's been a treat having you on. Hopefully we can make it happen again here sometime, and just really appreciate you.
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Candice.
And get some time off, Candice.
Yeah.
We go. Thank you.
When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, NHL getting their Stanley Cup final, singular, started last night. NBA getting its finals possibly finished tonight. We'll knock it around here in just a bit. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TERESA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. Final segment of Main Street Sports today on this Thursday. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, the Hall of Famer Teresa Walker, our special guest host today, and that was fun hearing Candice Lee, Vanderbilt AD. Just you're right, Mo. Just listening to her talk and the passion she has for what she does is, of course, I'm a little invested as a fan, but it was really neat to hear her expound upon some of those things. And tell you what, I'm ready to go. I mean, you heard me. Got to say anchor down to her, and she responded back, so that was cool.
I think as a fan, to listen to someone like Candice Lee, like you said, expound upon her vision for that athletic program. And, she didn't waver on anything. She wasn't being a cheerleader. She's just telling you, here's what's going on. Here's what we see. Here's what we aspire to. And, we feel confident that we can get there. I would think it's got to be really reassuring and comforting to a fan to hear your athletics director speak like that about her program.
No kidding.
And I'll just say this: when they were I always thought that Candice should have been and was the logical successor to David Williams. When they did their outside the box hire of Malcolm Turner, I could understand what they were thinking, but it's like, and I know that there's some folks that's like, well, Candice has been she's a Vanderbilt lifer, so to speak, but she knows how it works. And she is she is a former Vanderbilt athlete there. She competed on that campus. She knows the nooks and the crannies of that place. And, it's like, it was nice to see her finally get the chance to be the interim and then have them take that off, because I thought she was the perfect person for that job for a very long time.
I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. And I think at a Vanderbilt, I think there's value in knowing where the nooks and crannies are, as you said. The same thing with Clark Lee. With Vanderbilt is such a unique situation that I think it really takes someone who has lived it to be able to sell it.
Sell it and know what, when Clark Lee came in, one of the things he did, hire Barton Simmons to help identify the guys that they need to compete at Vanderbilt. And, that was part of what Bobby Johnson had success with, was finding guys that they could develop into Vanderbilt players. And that's what Clark Lee is doing. And I mentioned I asked her about that, keeping the coaches around, huge key. Derek Mason, great guy, but he was changing coordinators the last few years like he was changing shoes. You can't do that. Not at Vanderbilt, not when you're trying to grow and build.
You hit it. I mean, you're absolutely right. That continuity, again, when you are fighting the battle that Vanderbilt is fighting, is vital, I think. So we'll see how that goes. Again, we had Pete Weber as a guest on yesterday here on Main Street Sports Today, talking about the Stanley Cup final, and the excitement was there. I mean, Jody and I went out to eat yesterday, and I think the Avs were up 2-0 less than 10 minutes into the game. It was 3-1 at the end of the first period, and I didn't pay much more attention to it, but 4-3 Avs in overtime.
It was impressive. I turned over for the overtime period because I was watching the 30 for 30 Dream On. So I didn't watch the game. My son, intern 2, was in my home office where I'm at now, watching the game and giving me updates. And it's like, that's fine. That's fine. And my timing was perfect. I turn over. They just finished the intermission. They're going to the start of overtime. And here's the tough thing about being on social media. I was kind of going through and I'd refreshed. And an AP colleague, Tim Reynolds, who's one of our NBA writers, he tweeted, "Boy, that was fast," or "That was quick." And I'm like, okay, somebody's about to score. He was about 10 to 15 seconds ahead of my TV, and I was able to see the winning goal, but he didn't tip. Was it Tampa Bay? Was it Colorado? Who scored? What happened? I just knew that even though he's NBA and he's a little busy right now with the NBA Finals, I just figured that was a goal in that game, and sure enough, it was. If that's the thing, if you're going to knock off the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs, it's going to have to be a team that can score and score a lot of points and that has been tested. And Colorado, coming out of the West, it certainly meets those criteria. And when you can get a goal from a Burakovsky who, hadn't done much, in the postseason, that's the beautiful thing about the Stanley Cup final. Somebody's going to do something that you weren't expecting. That's why we tune in.
I think I saw a graphic last night that the Lightning had not been down 2 goals in this postseason, maybe. And does that sound right, Teresa?
Kind of sounds right, but the Rangers did go up 2-0 on them to start the Eastern Conference Final. But I was keeping kind of track on that. But I'll be honest, at a certain point, I tune in, but I need a little bit of a break. Like I mentioned, I need vacation. I watch the games when I'm at the crucial moments because I need a break. I've had, after the NBA playoff run of the Grizzlies, the Predators short run, the NFL draft, when I come back from vacation, it all starts again on the hamster wheel. So, yeah, I'm not paying as close attention, kind of like with the Cubs right now. I'm ignoring them a bit.
Well, you
That's
mentioned,
the reason. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. You mentioned the Grizzlies and your coverage thereof, Teresa. What were your impressions of the Warriors, and how has this series gone relative to what you would have expected?
Guys, I'm kind of expecting the Warriors to close it out tonight because the Celtics, as good as they've been, back-to-back 7-game series takes a little bit out of you. And now they're not just traveling to Miami, which, guys, Boston to Miami, that's a haul. Now they're flying back and forth from coast to coast. And when you've been traveling, when you've been doing it, it just feels like they're about to hit the wall. Now, maybe they surprise me and fight back the way they did to beat Miami in the last series. And, they were also, they had another Game 7 series, and I'm trying to remember who that was against, if it was Milwaukee or the Nets. And they're going to, it just, that many games takes a toll. And the travel. We saw it a few years ago with the Nashville Predators when they had back-to-back with Anaheim and then San Jose. At a certain point, the travel, as well as in high class as the travel is at that level, takes a toll on you. And with the Warriors, the other night, they win a game where Steph doesn't make a single three. they're kind of trying to bridge both gaps here. The older veterans, Draymond, Steph, Klay Thompson, all three of them have had their struggles in this series, and then they've had some moments where they've gone off. I don't think Draymond, though, has, except for getting fouls. But and then you've got the Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, who's just, has played a really great postseason. They're bridging that gap, trying, but I think they get the championship that they're so desperately wanting. Now, that said, this may be the last of the Warriors run with this group, or this trio. So enjoy it if you're a Warriors fan. The Grizzlies are coming. And the NBA draft is a week from tonight. They have 2 first-round picks. And if I'm watching Ja Morant's Twitter and some of the other guys, they're paying attention. They know where they want to be next year. And they are making very clear that they are working out so that they can be in this position next year.
Teresa, I got a follow-up to your statement there about Golden State, maybe the last one for this trio. Is that because 1 or 2 may be gone, or because the Grizzlies you're talking about, it's the next team in line? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely, JP, because that's the thing. They're young, they're coming. The Warriors at the beginning of that series with Memphis, it was all like, well, you got to have a couple of, you got to go through some heartbreak first. Well, yeah. The Grizzlies lost to the Jazz last year, in 5 games. And after battling through the first play-in tournament, beating the Spurs and winning at Golden State, they're coming, and they've got money and draft picks to tweak this roster to add a little bit more to it.
They could check those boxes, those heartbreak boxes off, Mo.
They've been there, done that. Now it's time to go win.
Teresa Walker of the Associated Press, our special guest host here on today's Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Tomorrow, Steve Lehman of News Channel 5 will be with JP and I for the ride. So be sure and check that out. Teresa, thank you so much. We've enjoyed it.
My pleasure. And now it's time to start heading downtown because the World Cup announcement comes in the next hour. It looks like Nashville won't be in the mix. But we're expecting Butch Spiriton to be talking to us one way or the other around 5 o'clock.
You can follow Teresa at Teresa M. Walker on Twitter and get all of her latest updates on Nashville and the World Cup here in about an hour and a half. So check her out. Check us out tomorrow at 2. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. See you.